Hello, everybody, and welcome. Good evening to tonight's Mindful Mondays. I'd like to welcome everybody who is here. I'd like to welcome our regulars. I'd also like to welcome all our newcomers, people who have never been here before, who recently heard about us. And just to introduce myself and tell you a little bit about what we do here and what you are signing yourself up for. You're not really signing yourself up for anything, but we really appreciate you coming and listening to the various topics of the Mindful Mondays. We've been doing this since January this year, and we've had a tremendous amount of success. And a lot of people have asked me, Alan, how do you know this stuff? Like, how do you know this information? Where do you get this information from? Where do you get these profound ideas? And for those who don't know me, yes, I've been working in psychiatry for 15 years. I've published a couple of books, and most importantly, I've maintained a 100-pound weight loss for 21 years. The truth be told, and I'm being totally honest here, that most of the information that I have, or most of the insights that I have about what we talk about, come from a lot of pain, a lot of misfortune, a lot of mistakes that I have made, poor decisions. And I've taken a lot of the things that I've done really wrong that have almost destroyed my life and learned from them. Like the saying goes, I turned a mess into a message. And that's really where I got most of my information from. It's my past experience, 24 years doing this inner work, where I was at a very low point in my life. I was almost suicidal. I let myself into a crisis center, weighing over 300 pounds, and really distraught. Life was not going well for me, and had not been going well for me for quite a long time. And everything that I tried, I really hit a brick wall. And I had some very negative self-beliefs about myself. I had some very negative perceptions about life in general and the world. And it was from that place that I came up with all these ideas that I'm grateful to say in the last 6 years, I've been able to help hundreds of people heal and recover from a multitude of ailments, emotional ailments, physical ailments. And that's really where I got my information from. It's really from survival, from really working hard to try to figure out, not by virtue, by any stretch of the imagination, but more by circumstance. I was pushed against the wall, and I don't mean by another human being, I mean by life. And there's always a choice, but one of the choices was not a good choice. And I clawed my way out of the huge hole that I dug for myself, and slowly but surely came up with had great success, and came up with these theories, these ideas, this wisdom that I'm going to share with you a little bit tonight. So that's really where I get my stuff from. It's from past negative experiences. They asked a very successful businessman, what is the secret to success? And he answered by making really good decisions. And they asked him, how do you learn how to make really good decisions? And he said, by making really bad ones. And that is the most authentic thing that I can tell you, is where I learned how to exist, how to survive, how to live, is by making multitudes, many really bad situations. And I've been extremely fortunate that I've been given more than a second chance at life. And I thank David Stewart, I thank my God for helping me and trusting me and loving me and nurturing me and caring for me and keeping me. And that is the honest truth. And this time of year, for a lot of people, is a very stressful time. And that's what we're going to talk about. Tonight's topic on the Mindful Monday is how to get back on track. And it's not just for right now, clearly. It can be for any different time of year where stressful things are going on in your life. But this time of year has a multitude of things going on. There are some transitions. And for those of you who were in our Mindful Mondays a couple of weeks ago or last week, we spoke about a difference between the physical energy that's in the universe and the spiritual energy that's in the universe. The thing about the physical energy is that's in the universe that it always changes. It's the only constant about the physical energy is that it constantly changes. If you look at your watch, you will notice that the second hand continues to move 1,440 times every day. You get 1,440 minutes, actually more than seconds, but you get 1,440 minutes every single day. And it never goes backward. The clock never goes backward. Impossible. So life continues to go forward. Nothing, absolutely nothing in the physical world lasts forever. Things are born, they live, and they die. Even within ourselves, our own physical body, every 11 months, every single cell in our body dies and is recreated. So we have a constant a duplication, I should say, of mitosis, of our cells duplicating just like we did when we were first conceived. At that moment, when cells start to duplicate and multiply, that process goes on consistently until our last breath on planet Earth. That never, ever stops. It's all, a lot of theories believe that's the concept of the aging. It takes us 11 months, as I stated, for every single cell that we have to reproduce. So in the physical world, nothing, absolutely nothing lasts forever. For people who go through trauma, which is primarily the programs that we deal with, and we help people who have gone through different levels of trauma, who feel stuck, who have anxiety. It's something that we're going to talk about tonight. That is a system, that is a process that we develop, and we are able to heal people because we understand the source of how that happens. And if you understand the source of what it happens, you understand how to heal it. If you go to the doctor and you say you have pain, the doctor says, where is the pain? If you cannot describe your pain to the doctor, it is going to be very difficult for the doctor to help you. Yes, they will run tests and they will try to find out what exactly, where is the obstruction, where is the problem that is causing that pain. But without that information, they cannot heal you because they cannot give you a way to heal yourself, a process, a plan of healing, a care plan, what we call a plan of care. They can't give you that if we don't know what the problem is. If you have a problem swallowing, it's not going to help you that they put a Band-Aid on your finger. I know that's exaggerated example, but if we don't know where the problem is, where the source of the problem is, we can't really heal it. And that is the key, in my opinion, to everything in life, that one has to find the source. A lot of people are afraid to find the source, as Viktor Frankl said. For those of you who don't know who Viktor Frankl was a psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust. And he wrote a book, Man's Search of Meaning, fascinating book. And he says there that every human being has things that they prefer not to know. Very common for humans to decide not to know something as a way to cope. Is it a bad thing? No, not always. Is it a good thing? Sometimes. Sometimes it is a good thing. It's better not to know right now. However, if you want to move forward in life and you want to heal your stress, there are certain things that you're going to need to know. And hopefully I'm going to help you tonight to understand this. So where are we at right now? And this is not for everybody here tonight. Not everybody has what's going on right now at this time of year. And there I wrote down 3 basic things that are going on right now for many families. I don't want to say most, I don't want to say all, because it's not all. However, it is a very auspicious time in the calendar, especially in the Jewish calendar. Right now, at the end of August, so for many people, it's at the end of the summer. So stressor number one, for people who went away for the summer, or people who went away at the end of the summer, they're getting back to regular schedules. And during the summertime, the sun sets later, kids don't always go to bed at the regular time. So in order to get them back and to get back on a regular schedule, if you have small children, does take a little bit of work. So that's structure number one, is the end of the summer, getting back to our regular scheduled day-to-day life. And as we stated, the physical world, nothing stays the same. The only constant in the physical world is change. If anybody is afraid of change or denies change or tries to fight change, they're going to have a losing battle, because change is constant. It's not like it's consistent. It is constant. It is happening every single second. A way to remind yourself of change is just think about your breathing for a moment. Think about your eyes blinking for a moment. You really don't need to go further than that. When we breathe in oxygen and we breathe out carbon dioxide, that is a change. We take that gas, oxygen, and we give off carbon dioxide that is needed in the universe in the different plantations. They need the carbon dioxide. That is a change that has happened constantly. We breathe on average, at rest, 10 to 12 times a minute. In other words, every 2 to 3 seconds, you are inhaling and exhaling. If you are anxious, that will go up to 16 to 18 times. If you're doing exercise, that can go up to 20 to 24 times. Infants breathe much more rapidly than that. But the average adult breathes anywhere from 12 to 16 breaths every 2 to 3 seconds or so per minute. So that's how often that we are, 12 times every 2 to 3 seconds. Yes, we are breathing. That's constant. And we're always exchanging gas. We blink. I don't know the speed of regular blinking. I never studied that. So I can't give you information that I don't know anything about. But even blinking, the concept of blinking is obviously is to hydrate the eye to get rid of any type of dust, because the eye cannot handle any type of dust. So we blink in order to hydrate, in other words, to give us some moisture into the eye. So this is happening consistently throughout your day. Clearly, it is not something that we think about. It's the ANS, the automatic nervous system, the subconscious, that takes care of that for you. But that is consistent. So change, if you're not good with change, you're going to have a problem, or a difficulty, should I say, going through life, because life is constantly changing. You cannot, there's a great poet who wrote, "If I could save time in a bottle," it's a great line in a poem. That would be wonderful, right? If we have a beautiful experience and we want to take that experience and put it into a bottle, save time in a bottle, what concept? We can't. But life is about experiences. And we can always reminisce about experience. That's the beauty about having experiences in life. We can talk about things that happened when our children were younger, or when we got married, or if we made a chasna, or we made a bar mitzvah or something. We have these experiences because that's the joys of life that we can talk about later on. So we can bring back those beautiful memories to us, and we can feel. That's why we take pictures. We have different things that remind us. If we go on vacation, we take little trinkets or little something, memories. And that's the beautiful thing about life, to have memories about beautiful experiences in our life. But we can't save them at that time. We can only bring them with us in the form of a memory. So if you're not good with change, life is going to be very difficult. And change is one of the most scariest things for people who go through trauma, which obviously makes it very difficult for somebody who has been through some type of trauma, somebody who's lacking nurturing for their upbringing, or had a bad experience, or is grieving something. They really want stability. They want security. They want to know that there is going to be stability in their life. They want to have certainty. Somebody who is not good with uncertainty is going to have challenges and is going to increase their anxiety. So number one is to recognize that this time of year is a time of transformation. We're transforming from the summer months, and I don't just necessarily mean with the weather, because there are different parts of the world that don't have the four seasons. You go down to near the equator. In the equator, they do not have four seasons, like for those of you who live in the Northeast. We have the change of seasons. And soon we're going to be seeing it. In the next few weeks, we'll start seeing the leaves change colors. Fall is coming in the next month. And there is constant change as we go through the four seasons, as we go through life. So this time is a transitional time going from summer to the back to schedule. And for everybody, it means something else. Not for everybody, it is the same. Not everybody goes up to the country for the summer. And therefore, their transformation from summer to the regular schedule could be nothing more than just the change of the sunlight hours. Can also be a change. So number one is summer ending. Number two is back to school. Children are going back to school. This is a very challenging time for those of you who have small children, or for those of you who are in school. And it doesn't have to be elementary school. It can be yeshiva, it can be university, college, whatever it is. It is a transformation that is happening at this time. Some people are this week. Some people already started last week. Universities usually start somewhere in the middle or the end of August. They don't wait till September. Regardless when it happens, this is a time when there is back to school. And back to school is not only stressful on the children going back to school, and some of them are very excited. It's like my son said to me today, his kids are going back to school for the first time. They're going to school, I could say, for the first time. I guess they're going to nursery school. They're only about 4 or 5 years old, 4 years old. So it's the first time. He says, yeah, they don't know what they're going into. He clearly did not love his school years. But nonetheless, for some kids, it's very exciting. Some kids get to go on a bigger bus, a school bus. So they're very excited about back to school. But we're not talking about the children here. We're talking about the parents who are taking care of children and preparing them and getting them back to school. Back to school is a major stressful time. It's a major transformation for people who have multiple children going back to school at different stages of their life. Some going to school for the first time, some going from kindergarten, nursery, preschool, going to first grade, some leaving preschool and they're going to now from school age, and they're going to leaving elementary school and going to junior high school or going to senior high school. Those are graduating, going to seminary, going to yeshiva, all different stages in a childhood's life. Back to school is a stressful time for parents. And as I know, the teachers send these lists of the different supplies and the different things that they need and the new rules that they're coming of the different clothes. I remember when my kids were in school, they weren't allowed to wear sneakers. And if they did, they were only allowed to wear black shoes. They couldn't wear white shoes, and they couldn't have any type of sign or anything on. They have all these different rules. Every school has their own rules. Some schools have uniforms, and I'm not making fun of any of them or criticizing any of them. That's not my point here at all. My point is that there is back to school is a stressful time for parents. And if you don't have any children, or if you're not somebody or you don't, when I say not have any children, or if you don't have children school age, obviously back to school is not a major time for you necessarily. Or if you are not yet have your own family, it could still be a stressful time if you're living in a home where there are other children, maybe you have younger siblings who are going back to school. So the whole home, the whole house is involved in back to school for some of the children that are going back. And then on top of that, we are at pre-Yontif. Rosh Hashanah is coming in 3 weeks approximately. So we have all these things going on all at the same time. How does one deal with all this stuff? Life, a stressful time more than other times of the calendar. It is definitely a stressful time. And if you are making a simcha now, also, that just adds more to the whole environment in your home. Not a bad thing. We're not talking about bad things here. We're just talking about life. And the question is, if you fall off of track, how do you get back on track? Or how do you stay on track? And that's what we're going to teach you tonight. And we're going to be here again in 2 weeks. Next Mindful Monday is going to be on a Sunday, actually, the 14th, a week before Rosh Hashanah. It's not going to be on a Monday. However, everybody who's here will get the notifications. You need not worry yourself or be concerned. You will get the notifications and when we have it. So how does an individual stay on track with all this? And this is something, we have a system, a very specific system that we teach in our programs for people who live with this, not necessarily this time of year. Some people have this type of stress in their life throughout. Those are the people that come to us. We don't get happy people that come to us. Happy people don't need us. We get people who are struggling or having challenges in their life, who have gone to therapy, have gone to different modalities, and they haven't found the appropriate relief. A lot of them is because they really haven't gotten to the source of the problem. And that's what we do in our program. We get to the source of the problem, and that's what I'm going to help you with tonight and again in 2 weeks. So the key, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, and this comes from 24 years, as I stated, 24 years of clawing myself out of that hole, obviously from all the previous 30 years of struggling with life and messing up my life. All that together, I came up with the key, the number one key, in order to get back on track, or stay on track once you do get back on track, is clarity. And there's different levels of clarity, and we're going to talk about that. And again, it's something that we teach a lot in our programs. Clarity is the way to get on track. A lot of people are in denial, and they, like I said, they don't want to know. Not knowing when you're trying to accomplish things, that is not a good time to not know things. If you don't want to know things because you don't want to get into more stress, yes, that's a very helpful thing at the time. That's a good coping mechanism. I'd rather not know right now. Nothing wrong with it. However, if you're trying to move forward in life and you're trying to get inner peace of mind, you want to accomplish something, not wanting to know is not beneficial at the time. So clarity is number one. See, when a person has lack of clarity, when they're not clear, what happens is that lack of clarity brings fear. Because then we have these unrealistic and non-accurate perceptions about what is happening. We can't put things into perspective appropriately. And because of that, we start to be afraid. And we become afraid, the truth is, because we are not sure. We feel extremely insecure. The reason for this is, for these fears, and we're going to get into fears in a few moments, is because we lack clarity. So number one, when we have these fears, that fear increases our anxiety. What happens when we're anxious, we make poor decisions. Remember I said before that I made a multitude of poor decisions, really bad decisions. They got me into a lot of trouble. And the reason why I made those poor decisions, those bad decisions, is because I was in fear. I was not stable. And when a person makes a decision from a place of instability, it is rarely going to be a good decision. When a person is emotional, it's not the appropriate time to make a decision. So when a person is lacking clarity, they're going to increase fear comes on. Fear brings anxiety. Anxiety causes poor decisions. When we make poor decisions, we get frustrated. We get angry. We start to blame. And all of this just causes more anxiety, not just within ourselves, in our relationships, with our spouse, with our children, with our family. And the home becomes an anxious home. And we seek blame and we get angry at people. These things happen on a daily basis. This is a natural occurrence in life. It's not a bad thing. It can become bad. But if you're living there and you're making a lot of decisions from anxiety, you're going to make worse decisions, more anxiety, more fear, more anxiety, more poor decisions, more frustration. All because of what? You lack clarity. So I'm going to help you get clarity today, and I'm going to give you some homework. It's your decision if you want to do it or not. Yes, it does take work. It takes some effort in order to get clarity. This is not all on a silver platter. I'm giving you work to empower you. I'm not here just to teach you. As it says, if person comes and they're hungry and you say, hey, I'm going to teach you how to fish. And the person says, you don't understand. I'm hungry now. Can you give me a piece of fish? He says, if I give you a piece of fish, you're going to eat right now, but you're going to starve to death. However, if I teach you how to fish, you may be hungry today, but you're going to be fed for life. So I'm not here to give you all this on a silver platter so you should feel good for the moment and then just go on with your merry life and get back to the struggles. I'm here to empower you and to give you the necessary tools so you can get through the struggles and the frustrations and prevent different or worse poor decisions, which is exactly what we do in our programs. This is what we do. So we're going to talk about the clarity. So the first clarity we spoke about, first of all, we talked about the 3 different things that are going on at this time of year. And for some of you, it could be more. For some of you, maybe you're giving birth to a child or you have a grandchild, making some type of simcha. That's an added part of the whole mix. Back to school, end of summer, and Yom Tov preparations. Those are the 3 stressors. So that is the first thing with clarity. First thing with clarity is to be honest with yourself. And if you are choosing not to know certain things, then you're not being honest with yourself. You may think that you're beating the game. You may think that you're taking a shortcut and you're going to win. I've been there. I can't say I tried it all, but I definitely tried a lot of that stuff. And I remember when I was in nursing school and I was working at a local hospital here on a step-down ICU unit, and it was coming up the elevator, and I was having a difficult time in school at test anxiety. And for me, it wasn't easy, just for me. I was 43 years old. It was not easy for me. 18-year-olds who came out of high school and didn't have to pay bills and were living at home with their parents, they had a lot less stressors than I did raising a family and going to school, as well as working. Plus, my anxiety from childhood trauma didn't help much. And I looked at this doctor, who was a pulmonologist, and I said, oh, doctor, this is so difficult. How do I get through this? And he says to me, Alan, there are no shortcuts. He says, there are no shortcuts. Very wise words. There are no shortcuts. There are not. A shortcut will only get you faster to the problem. That's what a shortcut will do. That has been my experience. There are no shortcuts. So the clarity is, first, you got to be honest with yourself. Number one, ask yourself. So we spoke about the three different things that are happening at this time of the year. And like I said, they may not be happening, all of them may not be happening to you. So you got to write it down. So question number one, we spoke about the transition from the summer. Is that something that is difficult for you? Now, like I said, if you've been living in your home the whole summer, and maybe you live up in, or I live in the Muncie area, or maybe you're in Monroe or nice upstate where you don't have to, or you decide not to go to the country, and life is good in the summer, no need to go away. So, and the summer may not be such a stressful time for you. There may be some stress that we call sundown syndrome. In other words, that the night is getting darker earlier. It's a very common psychological stressor. So it may not be anything about your moving away in the summer, but just the fact that fall is coming and then winter is coming can already increase some subconscious anxiety in you. So you need to ask yourself and be honest with yourself. This is not something that we're going to ask you to share with us. It's not something that you need to show anybody. This is just for your own benefit to ask yourself, is transition from end of summer, is that something that you struggle with? And be honest with yourself. I actually, right now, this weather, I would love to keep it if I could only keep time in a bottle, right? But that's not reality. And I work very hard. And again, people ask me, where do you know this? Because I was not honest with myself about the transitions. And I've gotten a lot better at transitioning. And I understand that nothing in life lasts forever. So I really enjoy my summer. The last 4 months, I really enjoyed almost every day, literally. I really enjoyed it. Now, I didn't go to camp. I'm not a kid. I don't have small children at home. Nonetheless, I do have grandchildren, and they come to us. And I really enjoy every time that they came. They came today. And I've learned to really appreciate the day. And a very wise nurse that I was working with about 15 years ago said to me this thing that I've shared with you, that nothing in life lasts forever. So because I understand it, I try to live every day to the fullest. So I have no regrets, I have no remorse, I have no fears. I enjoyed it, and I understand that there is a change of seasons. And just like I enjoyed the summer, I'll enjoy the fall, I'll enjoy the winter. I don't get overly stressed anymore by major transitions, and something that I worked on for a long time. But I can understand if somebody's having a struggle with it, it's really important to be honest with it. That's the key again, is clarity. If you skip this step, it's going to be extremely difficult for you to get through it. You'll get through it, 100%. You'll get through it. However, how do you want to get through it? And if you think you getting through it without the clarity is skipping a step and it's not going to affect your family, you are royally, royally mistaken. Royally mistaken. So I'm giving you the tools to get to clarity. So number one, ask yourself, transformation from the summer, transition, I should say, not transformation, but transition from the summer to the fall. Is that a stressful time for you? Number two, back to school. Is that difficult for you? Now, again, you may not be in the parsha at all. For me, I'm not in the parsha at all. My kids are, and they tell me a little bit about it, and I hear it. But my neighbors, they all have small children. So maybe for me, back to school is hearing the school buses and getting involved in traffic behind a school bus. I guess that's for me the challenge that I have with back to school is, but it's not about back to school. It's about just schools being open And then when I travel to the city, so there may be more traffic. So I'm also affected, but on a different level. And I need to be honest with that. I'm affected by that. So everybody on their own level, how are you affected by the back to school? Do you have small children that you have to get all their supplies that we stated? Is it possible that you didn't get the right stuff and you couldn't find it and it's very difficult? And the first day you have to have everything and new teachers, and maybe the school, your children are, you have some children that are afraid to go back to school, and so on and so forth, not to mention the financial stress that it accompanies. So ask yourself, is back to school, is that difficult for you or not? We're going to take it one step further in a moment. And then we have Yom Tov in 3 weeks. Is that something that is stressful for you? Are you not sure what your plans are for Yom Tov? Are you worried about it? Are you concerned about it? Maybe you're not. Again, it's about being honesty. It's about being clear. And having clarity is so important to this process of not just getting back on track, but staying on track. Can you stay on track consistently your whole lifetime? No, absolutely not. We already stated that the physical world is in constant change. How are you going to prepare yourself for change when there are things that happen that are totally out of your control, which we're going to get to in a few minutes? So, right now that you have those 3 things, I want you to write them in a list of priorities. What is the most important aspect of your stress right now that you need to be concerned with? Is it about getting ready for Yom Tov? Maybe that is for you because maybe you don't have any difficulties with transitioning from the summer to the fall. Maybe you do not have any children that are involved in back to school. So for you, it's just about how many guests you're going to have Yom Tov, where you're going to daven, and so on and so forth. Maybe that's your priority. If that's it, then that's your priority. Write down which one of these 3 is your priority now. That's question number 1. You have to prioritize. Number 2, and I'm going to give this to you for homework also when we finish, so we're going to go over it in case you missed something. What is the level of anxiety from 0 to 10 in each one of these for you? They could all be a 10. They could all be a 2. They could be anywhere in between. But if you want to heal from this, if you want to get back on track, and you want to learn how to stay on track, you have to have clarity. You got to be clear and you got to be honest with yourself and tell yourself, what is your level of anxiety with each one? Maybe back to school is a 7, transitioning from the summer is a 5, and preparation for Yom Tov is a 3. Possible. And maybe as you get closer to Yom Tov, preparation for Yom Tov will go up to a 7. Back to school will go down to a 5. And maybe transitioning from summer will go to a 1. Who knows? But right now, we're only dealing with right now. What is your level of anxiety? Now that we understand what the level of anxiety, and if you wrote down 0 for all three, I want you to know that you are in severe denial. You are just lying to yourself because what you're saying is, I'm not a human being. No, I'm not affected at all by any transition in life. That is an absolute, outright, delusional ideal. It's not true. We are creatures that are affected by our environments. That's how we are created. And for a person to say that they are absolutely not affected whatsoever by any of this, they're clearly mistaken and they're not looking deep enough. We all have anxiety. We all have fears. It is a natural human feeling to be afraid. And the more we learn, the more we get afraid because we're actually approaching and addressing something greater. So there's going to be fear. Fear is not something that disappears ever. It is a natural part of life, but we're going to talk about the different types of fears. So there are 3 levels of fears. The level 1 of fear is broken down into 2 different aspects. And these are not my theories. I wish they were, because they're fantastic. This is from a Dr. Jeffers. She wrote about this many years ago. This is a psychologist, PhD in psychology, and she spoke about the 3 levels of fears. Fear level 1 is those that happen. In other words, things that you have no control over. Aging, nothing that you can do about that. Retirement, something that we call empty nest syndrome. For those of you whose children are getting older and they're moving away, they're married maybe, or they just moved away from the home, and now your home is quieter there now because some of your children are not there anymore. So children leaving home, dying, if there's a war, if you have an illness, these are all things, and there's obviously a lot more list to this. Trauma that happens to you, accidents. These are things that happen to you that create fear that are not in your control. Also in level 1 fears is those that requiring action, making a decision. Which school should I send my children to? What should I make for dinner? If I want to start a new relationship, or maybe I want to end a relationship. Having a child. These are things that cause you to make decisions and want to have a child, or having a child. If you want to travel. All of these things improving your life. These are all in the same level 1 fears, that there are things that happen to you, and there are things that require action. Things that happen to you do not require action. They happen to you. But when you have to make a decision, when you have to do something, that is level 1 fear. That's just level 1. Level 2 fear is a very interesting level of fears. Level 2 fear is really about the judgment about ourselves, our emotions. If we're feeling rejected, fear of success, fear of failure, fear of rejection, feeling shame, being vulnerable, feeling helpless, disappointment, if we lose something. These are level 2 fears. And a lot of people believe that is the core of their anxiety. That is the source of what causes them fear of these feeling of shame. Somebody embarrassed them. They made a mistake. They feel inferior. They feel insecure. And the truth is that even though those fears have a major impact on our lives, they really do. Interestingly enough, when we talk about fears, and we're talking about obviously on an extremely subconscious level, which is what we do in our program, we get down to the subconscious level. We retrain the subconscious level. I don't know of another program out there, or another modality out there, or another therapy out there that does what we do in the fashion that we do it, in the system that we do it, and certainly not with the success that we have, and certainly not in the speed and how quickly the people that come to us heal from their various either emotional or physical ailments. I have not yet found another one. I'm not saying that there isn't one out there. I don't know every single program, but the basic modalities of EMDR and CBT and DBT and those different therapies, they are very different than what we do in our program. So a lot of people believe that's the source of their fear. Fear of failure, fear of being rejected, fear of being neglected, fear of abandonment. And yes, those are pretty powerful fears, no question about it. Not minimizing them or dismissing them by any stretch of the imagination, but they're really not the source of fear that causes us anxiety. The last, level 3 fear, is I can't handle it. And that is the source of every fear. And if you take those fears that we listed in level 1 and just put the words I can handle beforehand. I can handle illness. I can handle making a mistake. I can handle losing my job. I can handle getting old. I can't handle being alone. I can handle my children failing at school. I can't handle the principal calling me and telling me that the child is not doing well at school. I can handle finding out that my child has an illness. I can handle is by far the most profound and the source of all fears that cause us anxiety, that cause us to get off track. I can handle back to school. I can't handle preparations for younger. I cannot handle the transition from the summer to the fall and winter. I can't handle the cold weather. I can't handle the snow and ice. All of those fears, if you put the words I can't handle first, you will get down to the source of your struggles. We're going to address the I can't handle in 2 weeks. So I'm going to give you homework. I'm going to summarize. Then we're going to open up for Q&A where you can ask your questions, and you can unmute where you can ask your questions. And once again, we will be here not on a Monday, but it'll be on a Sunday on September 14th. So homework number 1. And again, this is all getting to that clarity. Prioritize. Something we learned in nursing school, right? That's where I learned this, right? You get on the unit and there's one person who's in pain, needs pain medication. There's somebody who just soiled themselves and needs themselves to be changed. There's somebody who needs assistance to go to the bathroom. And there's somebody who's having difficulty, who's coughing, choking, needs difficulty breathing. All very important things. Which one do you deal with first? Prioritize. Obviously, the one that is coughing and can't breathe is the priority. Because, yes, it's not great making on yourself. It's not great being in pain. It's very difficult. However, you can't survive if you can't breathe. So we need to know how to prioritize before we give a person pain medication. We have to deal with a patient who can't breathe. So you got to prioritize which one of these 3 is most important for you right now and focus on that one. Number 2, once you've prioritized, I want you to write down a level of anxiety for yourself for each one. Whatever the number is from 1 to 10, and try to be honest with yourself. What is the level of anxiety for you? And then, which fear can you relate to the most? Is it level 1 fear about what is happening to you? Like the transition from summer to winter? Oh, I am afraid of the change of the seasons. I'm afraid of sundown syndrome where the sun sets earlier and earlier. And every Shabbos, I look at the clock and it was 7:15, and next it's going to be 7, and then 6:30, then we're going to change the clock. Maybe that's what you're afraid of. What is your level of stress and anxiety on each one? And then what level is that level 1 about things that happen to you? Or do you have to make certain decisions that you're afraid of? Yeah, are you starting a new relationship, or maybe having difficulty with relationship, need to make a decision? Am I going to stay in this relationship? Am I going to end this relationship? And it doesn't necessarily have to be a marriage relationship. It can be with a child, it can be with a parent, it can be a sibling, other different stresses that we have in our life. I need to look for a new job, maybe. I need to end the relationship with my boss, whatever that happens to be. Or is it level 3? I can't handle it. I'm afraid that I cannot handle it anymore. And be honest with yourself. Take this home, work on it. We'll come back and discuss it again in 2 weeks. That concludes tonight's teleconference. We will open up for Q&A for questions. There are a bunch of you online. You can Send in a text in the chat if you feel uncomfortable to unmute, or you can press *6 to unmute, and we'll stay for a little while to open our questions. And if you want to find out O1, I'm going to get to you in a minute. I just want to say, if you want to find out more about our programs, I have O1 and then 6-1. So if you want to find out more about our programs, you can just reach out wherever you sent the word mindful. Just send in a message to the office and say, I would like to find out more about the program. And there, thank you, Darren. He put it into the, you could text us 845-400-9466, or you can email us info. For those of you who have online, you can see it in the chat. For those of you who do not, info@ascentbyktpo.com. Ascent, ASCENT, by BYKTPO, that's one word, ascentbyktpo.com. And we'll be more than happy to set up a free consultation with you and discuss whatever it is that is troubling you, and hopefully we'll be able to help you again. O1, you unmuted first. You have a question? Yes. Hi. Hello? I see you muted, then unmuted, then muted again. Yes, 6-1, you have a question.
Yes, hello?
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 Yeah, can you hear me?
I hear you. Do you hear me?
I do.
Okay, thank you. I just didn't understand the third part of the homework. Could you please explain it again?
The third part of the program is to ask yourself, which level of the 3 fears are you struggling with? Is it level 1, level 2, or level 3?
Of which 3 fears? Of the
Whatever
school,
fear,
Yantiv?
whatever fear that you have decided is bothering you now. Is it back to school? Is it the transition of the time of year? Or is it before the holiday season? Whatever is causing you anxiety because of this time of year, and you wrote down the levels of anxiety for each one. Now, which level of fear can you relate to the most? Now, or in general?
Level of fear, you meaning the like 1 through 10?
No, level 1. Level 1 is about things that happen to you or things that you have to do. Level 2 is your judgment about yourself. You're afraid of success. You're afraid of failure. You're afraid of disappointment. You're feeling helpless or vulnerable. That's level 2 fear. And level 3 fear is I can't handle it. So which level is one that you struggle with the most?
And apply to those things that we discussed? Going back to school, Yantiv?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
It can be those, or it can just be in general.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And I believe that answers the question who asked. Level 2 is about relationships or feelings like disappointment. It's about feelings of disappointment, but it can also affect relationships. So that's level 2. Okay. Anybody else have a question or a comment that they would like to address? Again, *6 to unmute, or if you are online, you can just unmute your phone or whatever or if you're on the computer. Level 3 is not surrender. Level 3 is I can't handle it. The fear that I can't handle it. That's what level 3 is. Somebody text in. That's what the fear is. I'm afraid that I can't handle it, whatever it is. Anybody else have a question or a comment? So why is the person have that belief that they can't handle it? There is a reason why somebody believes that they can't handle something. And just to say, oh, I'd rather not know, that is not going to work. And yes, many people go to many therapies and they don't end up finding this because most therapies deal with the thoughts or with memories. They don't really get to the beliefs. And that's what our program does. This is a belief. When somebody says that I can't handle something, that's a belief. So that is what we do. Would you be interested in somebody from the office getting in touch with you to discuss this further? Yes, no? Person who put it in the chat. I don't see a response. Okay. Okay. Anybody else have a question or a comment?
Yeah,
Yes,
I wanted to know if I have a number 10 by one of the three, is it I can't handle it? Is that equals that? Even if I think it's a fear of failure?
Number 10 by which of the three? I'm not understanding.
One of the things in this time of year. If my fear is a 10, does that equal the level 3?
I'll help you answer that question. How's that?
Okay.
So write down whatever that is. If you want, you can tell me. If not, you don't have to.
Okay.
Let's say it's the transition. We'll just use that. So if you write, let's say we'll talk about the transition for some. I'm not saying that's what it is, and you don't have to divulge what it is. It's not important for me to know. I want you to write the words before it. 4 words. 3 words. I can't handle the transition from summer to fall. And write it down on a piece of paper. I'll wait for a minute, okay?
Okay, 1 second. Okay.
Now I want you to read it to yourself. You can read it, and if you want, you can read it out loud. And you can start with, I can't handle.
Okay, I can't handle.
Whatever that.
Transition.
Does that make sense?
No, because the second, I don't know how you called it, the 3 levels. The second level, I could see that's a fear of failure.
Okay.
And this, I can't handle that. I can't handle the failure. The thing itself, somehow I feel like I could handle, but if I'm honest about why I'm having the fear in this area.
Right. So you can't handle the failure.
Right. Right for me.
So does that answer your question?
So it's the same can't handle. So it's 2 and 3 are related?
3 is the source of 1 and 2. The source is I can't handle whatever fear that you have listed in 1 and 2, whichever one it is.
It's really always there.
It's
I understand.
that is the actual fear.
Okay, thank you.
Does that answer your question pretty clearly?
Yeah, that makes sense. I want to know if that's really always there, is it?
What's that?
Yeah. I want to understand if it's always there. It sounded like that from your words. If I'll be honest, it is going to be there. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay.
That's the clarity. Now, how does it feel now that you've clarified that?
Yeah, it's interesting that it's there. Yeah, it feels honest.
And all of a sudden, I'm assuming that level 10 has gone down slightly, has it not?
Yeah.
Amazing. Just from that clarity. Okay. Beautiful.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi.
1-6, yes.
Hi. I have a question about gratitude.
Is
So
that
what?
is that part of tonight's session?
No.
You remember?
No.
Okay, so we're only going to ask tonight on Mindful Monday questions. Anything that has to do with program questions, you can bring to the Q&As on our sessions, okay?
Okay.
All right, so bring it to the next Q&A and we can address it then. But for tonight, we're just asking anything to do with the Mindful Monday. All right? Thank you. Anybody else have a question or comment? Yes, we are just going to be asking about tonight's program. Even if you're not a member, you can ask questions. My point is that even whether you're a member or not, we're going to only answer questions that pertain to what we spoke about tonight. Okay? Anybody else have a question or a comment before we go? We'll wait another couple minutes. Especially this time, if it's back to school and you're getting the kids ready, maybe you can't unmute right now, which I understand. That's okay. So if somebody has questions on the chat, they're going to be responding to you momentarily. You can get those answered. They're technical questions, not really questions for me. Anybody else? Okay, so once again, we will be back in 2 weeks on Sunday next time. Will be September 14th. Make sure to come on time. Once again, if you have friends or relatives that you think can benefit from Mindful Mondays, reach out to them, send them our phone number so they can send in the word mindful so they can be part of it. You can share the links to them. It's not a secret. There's nothing wrong with it. And we will see you. Thank you all for participating. Hope you all gained something. Hope you all learned something. And once again, if you're interested to hear more about what we do, just reach out to our office, 845-400-9466, or you can email us, info@ascentbyktpo.com. All right. Thank you all. Make sure to come on time next time. For those of you who came late, to be able to hear the session from the get-go. Take care.